YouTube, it's Brian Phillips here. Coming with a really past due update on this Stihl MS250 chainsaw. My original video was really lame. I flooded the carburetor and I didn't know because this setting all the way down is basically a prime and start setting. And then this is the choke setting. It's kind of hard to demonstrate. And then that's the run setting. And of course, this is the off setting. So things I've learned about this chainsaw: one, it's awesome. Two, it starts in 2 or 3 pulls consistently, pretty much any time, no matter how long I've had it sitting. Granted, I use it pretty frequently. And I've gone through like 5 or 6 of these things. I try to use the good gas. This has no ethanol. It's 5-in-1, so it's got a 50-to-1 ratio of gas to oil. And I just use the cheapest bar and chain oil I can get. I found that I have to put in bar and chain oil, which goes over here. If you guys are just getting this thing, the way it works is you just pop that little lever up and then you twist it. And if you're hoping your chainsaw stays clean, you haven't ever used a chainsaw. And then of course the gas, you'll notice I overfilled it, no big deal. This is the gas, same scenario. You pop it open and then you give it a half a turn and then it comes out. Okay, it's got this nice handy dandy string on there so you don't lose the cap while you're down in the middle of a dungeon somewhere cutting down devil trees, which we've learned how to do. Safety is here, it's on. Safety here is off. So if you start it with the safety on, the chain won't run. I'm here to demonstrate something new and exciting. You guys have probably heard of it if you've ever used chains for long. The Stihl brand chains are fine. There's nothing wrong with them. They're great and they're good. And you can sharpen them just fine. I sharpened my first set, chain probably, I don't know, 20 times. And I'm not very good at it. It took me about 10 to 15 minutes to do that. And I would have to do it about every 3rd to 4th cutting. And it just would run really bad at the end. So I learned a lesson from my father-in-law. I should have listened at the beginning instead of wasting a bunch of time. These things go for about 10 bucks a piece when you buy 3 of them shipped. We'll put a link in the description. It's from a company called Upstart. They make all the different sizes for the major brands, the Husqvarnas, the Stihls, all the other ones that you can find, okay? If you got some off-brand, you're gonna have to find an equivalent. And just remember, you're going by the pitch, the gauge, and then the links, okay? So those are the 3 factors you need to know, and of course the bar length, which is also part of the number of links. So this thing is awesome. I'll show you how they come packed. They're packed in 3 packs like this, which is really nice. I stick them into my little portable trailer that we drag around the property. So if I throw a chain or damage a chain, then I just open one of these. I take the old chain, I stick it in, and I label it as spent chain or never sharpened, and I keep these in a box to be sharpened later. A lot of your hardware stores are going to charge about 10 bucks to sharpen these. So it's kind of like, what do you do? Do you spend 10 bucks for a brand new one, or do you spend 10 bucks to sharpen it, or do you do it yourself? I might do it myself with a bench grinder, but doing it with a regular file, it just takes forever, and it's such a pain in the butt. So if you're looking for something to do in your retirement ages, then you may want to sharpen them by hand. In our case, we don't have time, which is weird that we do a YouTube channel.
Yes.
Anyway, so the way I open them is super simple. The worst part of dealing with chains, in my experience, and this is from my limited experience, is that they tangle themselves up like this, and it's kind of hard sometimes to get them to untangle. So I have not figured out a good trick. I'm sure there is a good trick. Also, these things are sharp as you know what. And so you'll notice I'm doing it barehanded. That's just because I was filming. And now I'm gonna put back on my leathers and do it this way. I'm gonna show you how to change this saw. But before we do that, let's show you how to change or check the air filter. This is something I cannot believe I succumbed to such a stupid problem. Basically, you have to put this all the way down to the full choke setting and primer setting, and then you can twist this once and it pops off, and then your air filter's here. And you'll notice that it's not real clean looking. I have learned that after each cutting, my best advice is just take this crappy thing off, blow it out from the inside out with an air compressor. I'll show you how I do it. It's very easy maintenance. You just get it ready before your next time. You come in here, you blow out whatever debris. I've got my air compressor off, so it's not real strong right now. And you will have an almost like new filter. Now, you can't do that forever, but I'm not replacing one of these every time I use this chainsaw. But I'll tell you what, when I use my chainsaw, I usually go through 4 or 5 tanks of gas. And then you just snap this thing back on. You put your lid back on. I want to show you one other thing I found out. I had at one point, this thing got out of sequence, and there's some good videos, but this is the way it looks. I want you to see how it looks. If you ever have that thing come apart, it's very easy to fix. You just have to manipulate it. You see this here? That's your kill switch. And when you put this all the way up, I'm going to try to show you how that works. See how it comes down there? Then when you have to kind of trick it. See how it kills it? That goes up there and touches this ground wire. And that's what kills the ignition system. So I had mine pop off on me, and it was very weird, and I couldn't figure out how to fix it. It took me 2 minutes thanks to a YouTube video. I will probably search out of my history and then link to that in case you guys are curious. I don't mean to steal credit from somebody who's already figured this stuff out. It was a 5-minute fix. I was about ready to take it to the dealer to have it fixed, and I saved a bunch of time. Even though the dealer's been good, I bought this at an Ace Hardware. The guys have been very good to me. They did a really nice job, but it's still kind of a pain in the butt bringing a tool in, especially a tool. You're not going to know you need it fixed until you're ready to use it, in my experience. So let's get to changing this blade. Very easy. You'll notice that there's a lot of slack on this. That's because I was literally digging holes with it. That is not advisable.
Not recommended.
This chainsaw does not dig holes very good. Actually, it does a great job, but then you ruin your chain, or you ruin all the blades get dulled. Okay, so this is how you do this. You get a multi-tool if you don't already have a multi-tool. I believe this chainsaw came with the multi-tool. If you don't have one, you can get them at any hardware store that sells chainsaws. They are a universal tool. It comes with a flat-bladed tip. It comes with a small one and a big one. The small one's for your spark plug. So once you break these nuts loose, and yes, I have done this on the side of a hill, hanging precariously while I'm trying to fix this so that I can do what I need to do to finish cutting a tree. It's just, you do this in the most awkward environments. Once you see if you can get a better angle, like maybe on my left side there, would it work? So basically you just loosen these nuts. It's very simple. I usually take the opportunity to kind of clean my nuts because my nuts get dirty. And
You should also get spare nuts.
spare nuts. Get a spare nut and
We've
keep
used
them
them.
around. We have burned through nuts before. Delicious. That's what happens in your chainsaw. Now, I'm not going to get this perfect. I'm just going to concentrate on the contact point areas, because sometimes that'll make it hard for everything to seat down. And then you'll notice that I just kind of look through here and I make sure that I get as much of that off as I can get quick and easily.
Is that grease or mud?
No, this is probably mud
dirt.
and bar and chain oil. And so basically what I do is I usually can lift it if it's all worn out, because these things will stretch as you destroy them, in my experience. So then I will put this back into this container very simply. I don't put it back in the bag. It's not anything too super critical. And then I will mark it as, you know, used once, never sharpened, something to that extent. Okay. Then I take this, I look at it quick. See how it said still at one point? One thing to check when you're pulling that off, make sure that this thing spins free. Does that spin free, camera crew? Do it.
Looks like it.
Do it. Show
don't
the
have
people at
gloves on.
home. Yep, it spins free, doesn't it? What'll happen is if you have a tough tree and it pinches this, you'll have to bend it back. Just take a screwdriver and bend it back. The bearings do go bad in these bars once in a while, so they're pressed bearings. You can't do a whole lot about it. You just have to buy a new bar. Again, relatively inexpensive compared to the price of a chainsaw, or your life if you're doing something in a dangerous spot. So just get the new one if you need it. It's not a big deal. You'll live, I promise. So then this thing, this is the new one. Mysteriously, it's come untangled. When did that happen?
I don't
That's
magically.
so weird. I just picked it up and it was untangled. So one thing to check, look at this, guys. Look, folks, you see that? How there's that middle slice in the gear? You want to make sure that it's lined up in there. It'll make your life a little easier, okay? So now that I showed you how that works, I'm actually going to put it on this way. I usually follow it down. You'll notice that those are extremely sharp. They will cut you and you will bleed. You will bleed red. So don't do that. Then I usually try to drop it on, and you'll notice because this chain is not stretched out like crazy, you usually have to immediately make an adjustment. But I like to get pressure on this chain first, okay? And I know that there's some guys that can probably do this in their sleep, literally, and I'm not one of them, but I have replaced a lot of chains since I started using this thing. This tool was the first tool we bought for our property, and I have used the heck out of it. I love it. It's a very good tool. The only thing I wish I would have done different is I think we could have probably stood to use a little bit bigger one. Oh, and then if you're forgetting what direction that goes, you see how it says plus this. This is plus, and then this is minus. Okay, so counterclockwise is minus, so that's going to bring back, and let's just show the people real quick. It's just going to bring back this little thing, and that little thing has a key that goes up, and so as you adjust this counterclockwise, it's going to eventually allow the blade to fall down in there, the bar, not the blade, and then the bar falls in, and then you can put a little bit of pressure. You notice how it's kind of holding itself now. I'm just kind of lightly supporting this. Now it's like tight, guys. It's tight, so you can kind of feel that's a little bit, it's probably about right, actually. I like to leave a little teeny bit of slack on it, and I'll show you what I mean, because you have to get this set down, because once you tighten those nuts, then it's going to actually bind up your ability to slide this back and forth. You see this little wear marks on here? Those wear pattern is from the plastic housing actually pressing down. So you'll notice that as you tighten those nuts, it's going to slow down the ability to adjust this. Okay, you have to break these nuts loose before you can actually make a good adjustment. You might be able to tighten it just a hair, but not a ton. Okay, and I'm just noticing that this buildup here is stopping that lid from going on totally. So I'm just going to clean that out. Yes, I do occasionally completely clean this, but I learned early on that that's usually kind of a big waste of time, because it's going to immediately be dirty. Okay, and that was the other thing my father-in-law told me when I bought this. He said, get a case, get a hard case, get one with a hard case, is what he actually told me. Unfortunately, this one didn't come with a hard case, but occasionally they run specials that they'll offer a hard case. I think we ended up spending about $50 for the hard case.
Yeah, something like that.
So I do have a hard case. It currently rides around in our drag behind dump thing.
Trailer.
Thank you. Okay, so now that these are tight, I've got this appropriately tight. You see how you can kind of pull that a little bit? I usually like to idle the blade. That feels maybe a little bit tight, but that's good. I can live with that.
Okay.
So then the next step, of course, is to go and cut some stuff down. And what I'll do is we'll just go ahead and pick this back up when we get in front of a log, and I'll just show you how awesome it starts. I won't screw around. I'm not even going to prime this once. We'll go down there. I'll show you how easy it starts. It's been sitting for, what, like 3 weeks to 4 weeks?
Yeah, probably.
It's been cold, and it's been reasonable like today, but it's been mostly cold. So we'll show you what it looks like. Come right back. All right, folks. So this is the virgin start. Pull the trigger and the safety. Bring this thing all the way down to the choke and prime setting. And then I throw the saw and pull. You're supposed to put your foot on here. My foot is evidently too big to fit on this. I don't know what the big deal is, to be honest. I don't have exceptionally big boots or feet. I do 1 or 2, and then I just pull it up right to the run setting. I don't mess around with the middle setting. Maybe I should mess around with the middle setting. Like I said, 3 pulls, guys. I'm probably having to work it through a little bit today. That's weird. You see this, guys? How it's all the way down? There we go. Now that I heard that, I'm good to go. Sorry. There it goes. That's usually about the way it goes.
Yep.
You start it once, you choke it partially, and then it goes. So 3 pulls. That was like what, 10 or 11?
Yeah.
So running good. We're gonna cut this. You can see the stream. Let's just go in this area. I did this in a half an afternoon. Over here we've done some more stuff. We did that. We did over here. You can't see it, but there's a whole pile. I mean, it's like, I've used this thing more than my 0 turn, a lot more than my John Deere 625R.
Yep.
And it's just been invaluable. We would not be able to do any of the stuff if we didn't have the chainsaw.
Nope.
So, let's cut some of this stuff. type of wood is one of my favorites. It's just super hard to cut sometimes. This one's a little bit rotten up here. I'm gonna go down on the ledge.
Okay. This is just the same clearing that we've been doing kind of everywhere. And we just work in an area. That's one of our favorite vines of a million thorns. But we just clear and clear and clear until it gets dark, and then we can just come back to wherever we left off. I don't think I'll be carrying that one up.
I figured what happened.
Let's try again. We do the best we can to choose super precarious spots for Brian to work when we're filming.
Okay, so once you get that done, guys, then basically your chainsaw is set and it's ready to rock and roll. And then all you got to do is crawl up and down crazy weird hills and cut what you're going to cut up. And you can see how easy that was. This is actually a pretty soft specimen because I think it's pretty well rotten. But I've just been cutting most of the way through so that I can do that, because I don't like working harder than I have to, which I know. Again, YouTube channel, really? So anyway, that's it, guys. We've cut down tons of dead stuff. We try not to cut down live trees except for honeysuckle. The DNR wants us to take that out. So even though they probably planted it 20 years ago, so whatever, go figure. I guess we'll follow that instruction because honeysuckle kind of sucks around here. But that's it, guys. Show them this little tiny project we got left. And
well, with this whole tree.
This one's already been cut.
Yep.
It's already pre-cut. And show them over there that little small bowl of delight.
It's so hard to get a scope or a scale of how big this is, but we have 4 big, huge, massive trees that are already down and have been dead for a long time.
Yep.
But there's Brian over there.
Water runs under this tree here, guys.
Yep.
The 2 banks come together and this tree is growing and it's very tall. And the water runs underneath it. It is so cool.
Under the tree, and then it comes down here and around all of these dead ones. And then, I know, see, these are our little baby trees right there. Look, it's about the size of the flag. Then that one that's going across is actually still alive. It comes up. Our kids like to play on that one because they can climb up the side of the tree, and our cat. It's just, yeah, this will be like our whole next summer project that Brian will think we can do in a weekend. But we have lots of clearing left to do. But then once it's cleared, we can come and walk through here. But we still have kind of a break. We've left kind of this row of like bushes along the outside. So it's cleared up, but it's still super naturey and cool.
Trade me spots.
Trade you spots.
Because this backdrop is crazy.
Don't step on our baby trees.
It's so pretty, guys. But it's also been super challenging.
Yep.
And you could obviously see the houses right behind us. Can you hear the water?
I don't know if you
Point
can.
the camera at the waterfall. I bet it'll pick it up. You might have to zoom it over there.
It's way down here.
You may not be able to hear it on camera because this guy keeps talking, but we just love this area. It's beautiful, but it's also one of the most technically challenging parts of our property because it's close enough to the house that we want to keep it beautiful, but we also want it to look natural, and we don't want to undermine the ecosystem here. We just want to take out dead trees and stuff, but we also want to, you know, like these 2 trees fell down. They slipped down the hill. Their root balls are still contained.
They're still alive. They're
still alive, and they'll keep being alive unless we do something. Look up there, a hawk just went by. See?
Oh yeah,
Look.
right over.
Yeah, that's a hawk.
Yep.
So the hawk is probably hunting our chickens.
Better
right
go
now,
count
which
our
is
chickens.
over there. Our chickens come and get into the trees and hide, and we're just trying to kind of cohabitate with this space and make it beautiful and enjoyable, and also so we can pass through it. My goal is to be able to walk all the way to the back in flip-flops. That's probably going to be a couple of years from now before we can do that, but we're getting closer every day, and this Stihl chainsaw has really made a big impact on our ability to do exactly that. And I haven't chopped myself in half yet. Yes, I do have chaps. Well, not those kind of chaps. They cover everything. Well, actually they don't.
They actually don't, do they?
So anyway, this chainsaw is awesome. If you're on the fence between this and a 170, just get the 250. The extra couple bucks is worth it. The 18-inch bar has been great. We've cut down some huge stuff. I mean, stuff that you can't hardly wrap your hands around. Granted, those were dead. If it was a live tree like this one we've been fighting down here, then you may have a little bit of trouble with an 18-inch chainsaw. Plus, you might want a little extra horsepower. So, like I said, the only concern I had with this is that really the 18-inch bar is about perfect, but I could have used a little extra horsepower on some of these more scary trees, because the quicker you get it done, the safer you are. And don't ever forget, a sharp blade is the safest tool that you can use. The other thing I learned, and this has been super helpful, is that I carry around this little tool in my pocket, because your nuts are inevitably going to come loose at the worst possible time, and you will notice something strange and you'll want to fix it. And like, for instance, I just tightened that chain. Once you put a new chain on, there's a good chance you're going to be adjusting it. And there's our adoptive cat. So the cat always comes around when we're doing loud, obnoxious things, which is pretty much when we're here and existing. But anyway, guys, that's all you get for today. I know this isn't an airplane. I'm sorry it's not an airplane. The weather's beautiful. We got to get some of this stuff under control so that I can get my other small project done, which you guys are going to love, but it just hasn't happened yet. And we're still a few months of hard work away from that happening. And when it does happen, it's going to be awesome. But for now, go get one of these if you need one. I can't even link to this. I won't make a penny on it. That's okay. But buy these Upstart chains. I think we might get some money off of that. Maybe. If you buy one. I mean, they're like $30 if you buy 3 of them. So we'll make what, like 1 cent on that?
Maybe.
So maybe if 10 million, 100 million of you guys do that, then we'll be able to quit our day jobs and we can just do this full time. But until that moment, maybe just like 40 of you order it, and we'll make like enough for, you know, like a small Frosty. Yeah. Because I do like Wendy's. But anyway, this chain, these things are awesome. And I have gone through how many? I think we've gone through six of these.
Yeah, probably. I think that's our second batch.
No, we haven't gone through 6 yet. I've got one more in the back.
Oh, okay.
So technically I've gone through 5 plus the Stihl one.
Original.
And I sharpened it a million times.
Yep.
So very good buy. You pretty much cannot beat it. We'll link to that. Follow the links. Watch our videos, guys. That's how you can support us. We don't have a Patreon begging site yet, but someday, some year, we might. So until such a time as we start begging, we just want you to watch the videos. Thanks for coming.